Hello, hello. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. If this is the first time you found my Torah Portion playlist, this week is week number 45, and I have no idea how to pronounce the name of it. It's Vaetchanan. Not even going to try. And it means, and I besought. And it is Deuteronomy 3:23 through 7:11. So it's a longer portion. And the Haftorah is Isaiah 40:1 through 26. And the Gospels is Luke 3:2 through 15. And it's a special Shabbat. It's Shabbat Nachamu. And let's see. It is the Shabbat after Tisha B'Av, the Shabbat of Consolation, which was yesterday, and it was a day of affliction. Shabbat Nachamu for Hebrew year 5,784 begins at sundown on Friday, the 16th of August, and ends at nightfall on Saturday, the 17th of August. Shabbat Nachamu is the Shabbat of comforting, takes its name from the Haftorah from Isaiah in the book of Isaiah 40:1 through 26, that speaks of comforting the Hebrew people for their suffering in the first of the 7 Haftorahs of consolation leading up to the holiday of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. So there's 7 Haftorahs of consolation, I guess, which will be the next 7, I would assume. So it'll be interesting. It's so interesting learning all these things. So it's a special Sabbath, and it's a Sabbath of comforting after the consolation. So basically what the Tisha B'Av, it was yesterday, it was a day of affliction. It was a day of sorrows. The first temple, there we go. The first temple was destroyed on this day, and the second temple was just also destroyed on the same day. And there was just a lot of tragedies that happened on Tisha B'Av, and it's a day of sorrows, or a day of consolation, day of sorrows. This next week will be the Sabbath of consolation. So anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of reading out of my commentary, and then we'll get right into the portion, because it looks like it might be a longer one, and I do have physical therapy. So I wanted to try to get this done on Monday. We've got a crazy week. We're going to be processing 40 chickens on Sunday, and we have a lot of preparation to get ready. We have people coming and staying. We have people coming and eating. So I haven't entertained in a very long time. So we have a lot to do. And so we've been very busy. That's why I didn't get the portions done on Monday. I wasn't able to get them done Tuesday. So I'm trying to get them done before I have an hour. I have an hour to get them done. So, and that's all I really like to keep this going anyway, for your sake, so that you're not stuck here forever. So in last week's Parsha, Devarim, actually, Father, we're going to come to you first. Slow it down. It's going to go at your speed. You are in control. Father, I pray for the ears that hear this, that you bless their home, and that you give them a passion and a love for your word, so that they want to dig in and know you more through the reading of your word. Father, I pray for the technology that this records, it gets done and uploaded in a timely fashion. You're in control of all of these things, and I'm just going to lay it at your feet, trust you with it, and move forward. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to read your word in Yahushua's mighty name. Amen. Okay, so in last week's Parsha, Devarim, Moshe began his personal speech, meaning it didn't come from Yahuah, it came from Moshe, summarizing Israel's 40-year history of wandering in the wilderness leading up to the conquests of Sihon, Deuteronomy 2:24 through 37, and Og, Deuteronomy 3:1 through 11. The Israelites were now in the land of Moab, just east of the Jordan, waiting to enter the promised land. His speech continues. And it says, and I plead with Yahuah at that time, and I pleaded with Yahuah at that time, saying, that's Deuteronomy 3:23. Introduction. This portion of Torah includes some of the most fundamental texts of the scriptures, including the Ten Commandments, the Shema, oh good, the duty to love Yahuah and study his Torah, and the commandments of phylacteries and mezuzahs. In addition, this portion includes Moses's prediction of exile and the eventual redemption of the Hebrew people in the end of days. So, the plea of Moshe. Moshe continued his speech by telling the people that after Sihon and Og were conquered, he pleaded with Yahuah to let him enter the promised land to finish the job against the 7 nations of Canaan, despite his sin at Meribah, where he struck the rock instead of speaking to it. According to Jewish tradition, take that with a grain of salt, Moshe begged Yahuah in 515 different ways to be given an explanation for his sin. This number is from the gematria of the word, the name Va'etchanan. That I have no idea. It's the name of this portion. And to be given an exemption for his sins. This number, 15 different ways to be given an exemption. This number is from the gematria of the word, but Yahuah refused each time. No, Moses would die with the men of his generation in the wilderness. However, he was given the opportunity to see the land of promise from the top of Mount Nebo, also called Pisgah, from Pasak, meaning to pass between. Apart from this glimpse, however, Moshe was forbidden to cross the Jordan. Joshua, a type of Mashiach, Yeshua, would be the one to bring the people into the land of promise. I'm going to go ahead and just get started because I don't want to go run late. So that's just kind of setting up where we're at. So here we go. And I besought. And it starts in Deuteronomy 3:23. And I pleaded with Yahuah at this time. So I besought him. And I pleaded with Yahuah at this time, saying, "Oh, Master Yahuah, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your strong hand. For who is a mighty one in the heavens or on earth, and who does according to your works and according to your might? I pray, let me pass over and see the good land beyond the Jordan, this good hill country and Lebanon." But Yahuah was enraged with me for your sake and would not listen to me. And Yahuah said to me, "Enough of that. Speak no more to me about this matter. Go up to the top of Pisgah and lift up your eyes westward and northward and southward and eastward and look with your eyes, for you do not pass over this Jordan, but command Joshua, and strengthen him and make him brave, for he shall pass over before his people and cause them to inherit the land which you see." And he dwelt in the valley opposite Beth Peor, and we dwelt in the valley opposite of Beth Peor. 4. And now, O Israel, listen to the laws and the right rulings which I am teaching you to do, so that you live and shall go in and possess the land which the Elohim of your fathers is giving you. Do not add to the word which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of Yahuah, your Elohim, which I am commanding you. Guard the commands. Your eyes have seen what Yahuah did at Baal Peor, for Yahuah, your Elohim, has destroyed from your midst all of the men who followed Baal Peor. Remember a couple portions ago where he gave them victory and not one man was lost. And this is the ones, Moab, who the women had tempted the men of Israel into sin. So, but you who are clinging to Yahuah, your Elohim, are alive today, every one of you. So everyone that sought his face is still alive. The other ones who went their own way and sought their selfish desires met their fate. See, I have taught you the laws and the right rulings of Yahuah my Elohim commanded me to do thus in the land which you go to possess. And you shall guard and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding before the eyes of the people who hear all the laws, and they shall say, only a wise and understanding people is a great nation. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it, as Yahuah our Elohim is to us, whenever we call on him? Man, this is, I know so many people that are going through a real pressure cooker right now. They're getting squeezed hard. And the Father just keeps reminding me that pressure creates diamonds, and that every time that I've ever been in the pressure cooker, I've always come out better for it. Whenever I've been squeezed, it's like squeezing self out of us so that we can be purified and more focused on him. And if we keep our eyes on him, he's so faithful. And this is exactly what he's saying right here. I love how the portions always line up to what's happening. The spiritual always lines up with what's happening in the physical. So, and what great nation is there that has such laws and right rulings like all of this Torah, which I set before you this day? Only guard yourself and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words your eyes have seen, and lest they turn aside from your heart all the days of your life, and you shall make them known to your children and to your grandchildren. The day when you stood before Yahuah your Elohim in Horeb, Yahuah said to me, assemble the people to me, and I make them hear my words, so that they learn to fear me all the days that they live on the earth, and teach them to their children. This is so important. And I didn't teach these things to my children. And boy, you mamas out there that have your little ones and are able to teach them, what a blessing. I mean, I taught my children to be Christian, but with one leg in the world and one leg in the word. And we were more worldly than led by the word. So unfortunately. And you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountains burned with fire to the heart of the heavens, darkness, cloud, and thick darkness. And Yahuah spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. And you heard a voice of words, but saw no form. You only heard a voice. And he made known to you his covenant, which he commanded you to do, the 10 words. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And Yahuah commanded me at that time to teach you the laws and right rulings, for you to do them in the land which you pass over to possess. Therefore, diligently guard yourselves. Wow, there's so much in this portion. Diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form when Yahuah spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire. Lest you should do corruptly, and shall make for yourselves carved images in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, or any likeness of any winged bird that flies in the heavens, the likeness of any creature that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the earth. And lest you lift up your eyes to the heavens, and shall see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the hosts of the heavens, and you'll be drawn away into bowing down to them and serving them, which Yahuah your Elohim has allotted to all the peoples under the heavens. But Yahuah has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace. There we go, the iron furnace. And out of Mitzrayim to be his people, an inheritance as it is today. And Yahuah was enraged with me because of your words, and swore that I would not pass over the Yarden, and that I would not enter the good land which Yahuah your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. For I am to die in this land. I am not passing over the Yarden, but you are passing over and shall possess the good land. Guard yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahuah your Elohim, which he made with you, and shall make for yourselves carved images in any form as Yahuah your Elohim has commanded you. For Yahuah your Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous El. When you bring forth children and grandchildren, and shall grow old in the land, and shall do corruptly, and make a carved image in the form of whatever, and shall do what is evil in the eyes of Yahuah your Elohim to provoke him, I shall call the heavens and the earth to witness against you on that day, that you shall completely perish from the land which you pass over the Yarden to possess. You do not prolong your days in it, but are completely destroyed. And Yahuah shall scatter you among the peoples. So here's the prophecy being foretold of when they'll be exiled. And Yahuah shall scatter you among the peoples, and you shall be left few in number among the nations where Yahuah drives you. And there you shall serve mighty ones and the work of men's hands, wood and stone, neither see nor hear nor eat, nor that neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. But from there you shall seek Yahuah your Elohim, and shall find when you search for him with all of your heart and with all of your being. In your distress, pressure cooker, when all of these words shall come upon you in the latter days, then you shall return to Yahuah your Elohim and shall obey his voice. For Yahuah your Elohim is a compassionate El. He does not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers, which he swore to them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that Elohim created man on the earth, and ask from one end of the heavens to the other end of the heavens, whether there has been a word of this great as this, or has been heard like it. Has a people heard the voice of Elohim speaking out in the midst of the fire, as you have heard, and live? Or has Elohim tried to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of a nation by trials and by signs and by wonders and by battle and by strong hand and by outstretched arm and by great fearsome deeds, according to all that Yahuah your Elohim did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes? So have hope. If you're in the pressure cooker right now, which I know so many of us are, remember the things he did for his people in Egypt, in Mitzrayim. Remember these things. This is a great portion because this is exactly what's been on my heart, is hope. And we have to keep our eyes on him. Seek him in all that we do, and he's going to direct our path. And it says, Solomon said, I was young and now I'm old, and I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread. So whatever pressure cooker you're in currently, know that he knows, he's in control, and he will bring you out. He promises to. So you have been shown it to know that Yahuah himself is Elohim. There is no one beside him. Sorry. This just really hits home because it's exactly what the Father's speaking, is hope. In him alone, there is hope. So, okay. From the heavens, he let you hear his voice to instruct you, and on earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them and brought you out of Mitzrayim with his presence and with his great power, to drive out from before you nations greater and stronger than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance as it is today. And, if you, last week I had spoke on this because every time I had read this over the past 40 years, I started reading the Bible in 1980 when I got saved. And I could never reconcile why he would go in and have them completely destroy these nations. And then he revealed to me last week, several months ago, he revealed to me that this land was allotted to Shem, Noah's son. And Ham, with Canaan, his grandson, they took this land illegally. And Yahuah is just giving the rightful owners back their land. And why he had them destroy all of the people, women and children alike, is that he was purging out the bloodline of the Nephilim, of the Watchers, the abomination bloodline that came from the fallen angels, and they're not of him. And they had to purge all of that bloodline out. So anyway, okay. to drive out from before you the nations greater and stronger than you, to bring you in and give you their land as an inheritance, as it is today. And you should know today and shall recall to your heart that Yahuwah himself is Elohim in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. There is none else. And you shall guard his laws and his commands, which I command you today, so that it is well with you and with your children after you, and so that you prolong your days on the soil which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you for all time. Then Moshe separated 3 cities beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun for a manslayer to flee there, he who unknowingly murdered his neighbor without having hated him in time past, and might flee to one of the cities and live. Betzir in the wilderness, in the level land of the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manasseites. Those are all the ones that are staying on the other side of the Jordan. And this is the Torah which Moses set before the children of Israel. These are the witnesses and the laws and the right rulings which Moses spoke to the children of Israel after they came out of Mitzrayim. He's now reiterating it with this new generation, because he already gave it 40 years ago to their fathers, and now he's got to, make sure that this generation knows it before they go into the land. Beyond the Jordan, in the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites who dwelt in Heshbon, whom Moshe and the children of Israel had stricken after they came out of Mitzrayim, and they took possession of the land, and the land of Og, sovereign of Bashan, 2 sovereigns of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun. From Aroer, which is on the bank of the Wadi Arnon, even to Mount Zion, which is Hermon, and all the desert plains beyond the Jordan, as far as the sea of Arabath, below the slopes of Pisgah. 5. And Moshe called all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the laws and right rulings which I speak in your hearing today, and you shall learn them and guard to do them. Yahuwah our Elohim made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yahuwah did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who were here today, all of us who are alive. Yahuwah spoke with you face to face on the mountain in the midst of the fire, and I stood between Yahuwah and you at that time to declare to you the word of Yahuwah. For you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up the mountain, saying, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them or serve them, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children, to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me. But here we go. And remember this, those of you that need hope. But showing loving commitment to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commands. Yes, do not bring the name of Yahuwah your Elohim to naught, for Yahuwah does not leave him unpunished who brings his name to naught. Guard the Sabbath to set it apart, as Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you. 6 days you labor and shall do all your work, but on the 7th day of this is a Sabbath of Yahuwah your Elohim. It is his Sabbath, not the Jews' Sabbath, not Israel's Sabbath. It's his Sabbath. It's a Sabbath of Yahuwah your Elohim. You do not do any work, you nor your son nor your daughter, nor your male servant nor your female servant, nor your ox nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your sojourner who is with your gates, so that your male servant or your female servant rests as you do. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahuwah your Elohim brought you out of there by a strong hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore, Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you to perform the Sabbath day. Respect your father and mother, as Yahuwah your Elohim has commanded you, so that your days are prolonged, and so that it is well with you on the soil which Yahuwah is giving you. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not bear false witness against your neighbor, do not covet your neighbor's wife, or do not desire your neighbor's house, his field, or his male servant, nor his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. These words Yahuah spoke to all your assembly in the mountain from the midst of the fire, of the cloud, of the thick darkness, with a loud voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And it came to be, when you heard the voice in the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, that you came near to me, all of the heads of your tribes and your elders, and you said, see, Yahuah our Elohim has shown us his esteem and his greatness. And we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. And today we have seen that Elohim speaks with man and he lives. And now, why should we die? For this great fire is consuming us. If we hear the voice of Yahuah our Elohim anymore, then we shall die. How sad is that? For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking from the midst of the fire as we have, and does live? You go near and hear all that Yahuah our Elohim says, and speak to us all that Yahuah our Elohim says to you, and we shall hear it and do it. How sad that they had to have a mediator, Moshe as a mediator. And Yahuah heard the voice of your words, and you when you spoke to me, and Yahuah said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you. They have done well in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart in them to fear me and to guard my commandments always, so that it might be well with them and with their children forever. Go, say to them, return to your tents, but you stand here by me, and let me speak to you all the commandments and the laws and the right rulings which you are to teach them, and they shall do them in the land which I am giving them to possess. And you shall guard to do as Yahuah your Elohim has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Walk in the ways which Yahuah your Elohim has commanded you, so that you live and it be well with you, and you shall prolong your days in the land which you possess. 6. And this is the command of the laws and the right rulings which Yahuah your Elohim has commanded to teach you to do in the land which you are passing over to possess, so that you fear Yahuah your Elohim, guard all his laws and commandments which I command you, you and your sons and your grandsons, all the days of your life, that your days be prolonged. And you shall hear, O Israel, and shall guard to do, that it might be well with you, and that you increase greatly, as Yahuah your Elohim of your fathers has spoken to you, in the land flowing with milk and honey. Here's the Shema. Hear, O Israel, Yahuah our Elohim, Yahuah is one. And you shall love your Elohim, and you shall love Yahuah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart. And you shall impress them upon your children, and speak of them when you sit in the house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them as a sign on your hands and the frontlets between your eyes. Your hands is what you do. Your eyes is what you see. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. This is something I really want to do. Something the Father's really, and yeah, I have a cricket, and I'm planning on writing it out and putting it on my doorpost and on my gates. And you shall write them on the doorposts and on the of your house and on your gates. And it shall be, when Yahuah your Elohim brings you into the land of which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Jacob, to give you great and good cities which you did not build, and houses filled with all kinds of goods which you did not fill, and wells dug which you did not dig, and vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant, and you shall eat and be satisfied. Be on guard, lest you forget Yahuah who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim from the house of bondage. Fear Yahuah your Elohim, and serve him, and swear by his name. Do not go after other mighty ones, the mighty ones of the peoples who are around you. For Yahuah your Elohim is a jealous El in your midst, lest the displeasure of Yahuah your Elohim burn against you. Then he shall destroy you from the face of the earth. Do not try Yahuah your Elohim as you tried him in Massah. Diligently guard the commands of Yahuah your Elohim and his witnesses and his laws which he has commanded you. And you shall do that what is right in good in the eyes of Yahuah, that it might be well with you, and you shall go in and possess the good land of which Yahuah swore to your fathers, to drive out all of your enemies from before you, as Yahuah has spoken. When your sons ask you in time to come, saying, what is the meaning of the witness and the laws and the right rulings which Yahuah your Elohim has commanded you, then you shall say to your son, when we were slaves of Pharaoh in Mitzrayim, and Yahuah brought us out of Mitzrayim with a strong hand, and Yahuah sent signs and wonders great and grievous upon Mitzrayim, upon Pharaoh, and upon all of his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from here to bring us in to give us the land which he swore to our fathers. And Yahuah commanded us to do all of these laws, to fear Yahuah our Elohim for good always, to keep us alive as it is today. And it is righteousness for us when we guard and do all the commands before Yahuah our Elohim as he commanded us. 7. When Yahuah your Elohim brings you into the land which you go to possess, he shall also clear away many nations and before you, the Hittites and the Gershites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites, Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when Yahuah your Elohim gives them over to you, you shall strike them and put them under the ban completely. Make no covenant with them and show them no favor, and do not intermarry with them, and do not give your daughters to his sons, and do not take his daughters for your son. For he turns your sons away from following me to serve other mighty ones. Then the displeasure of Yahuah will burn against you and promptly destroy you. But this is what you do to them. Break down their slaughter places and smash their pillars and cut down their asherim and burn their carved images with fire. For you are a set-apart people to Yahuah your Elohim. Yahuah your Elohim has chosen you to be a people for himself, a treasured possession above all the peoples on the face of the earth. And Yahuah did not set his love on you, nor chose you because you were more numerous than the other people, for you were the least of all peoples. And because of Yahuah loving you, and because of him guarding the oath which he swore to your fathers, Yahuah has brought you out with a strong hand and ransomed you from the house of bondage, from the hand of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. And you shall know that Yahuah your Elohim, he is Elohim and trustworthy. He is Elohim, the trustworthy El, guarding covenant and loving commitment for 1,000 generations with those who love him and those who guard his commands. What a beautiful promise that is. If you love him and you guard his commands, then you are setting up his favor for 1,000 generations, which is eternity. I mean, but repaying those who hate him to their face to destroy them, he does not delay to do so. With him who hates him, he who repays him to his face, and you shall guard the commands and the laws and the right rulings which I command you today to do them. I may have to cut it short and come back, but we'll see if I can get through. So this is Isaiah 41 through 26. So comfort my people, says Elohim. Oh my gosh, I can tell this is already gonna speak to the heart of Jerusalem and cry out to her that her hard service is completed, that her crookedness is pardoned, and that she has received from the hand of Yahuah double for all her sins. The voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of Yahuah and make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. Let every valley be raised and every mountain and hill made low, and the steep ground shall become level and the rough places smooth. And the esteem of Yahuah shall be revealed, and all flesh together shall see it. For the mouth of Yahuah has spoken. The voice said, cry out. And he said, why do I cry? All flesh is grass, and all his loving commitment is like the flower of the field. Grass shall wither, and flower shall fade, and the spirit of Yahuah has blown on it. Truly, people is grass. Grass shall wither, and flower shall fade, but the word of Elohim stands forever. Amen. Yes, you who bring good news to Zion, get up into the high mountains. You who bring good news to Jerusalem, lift up your voice with strength. Lift it and be not afraid. Say to the cities of Yehuda, see your Elohim. See, the Master Yahuah comes with strength, and his arm rules for him. See, his reward is with him, and his recompense before him. He feeds his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs with his arms and carries them in his bosom, gently leading those who are with young. Thank you, Father. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hands, and measured the heaven with a span, and continued the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales and the hills in a balance? Who has meted out the spirit of Yahuah, or as his counselor taught him? With whom did he take counsel, and who instructed him and taught him in the path of right ruling? Who taught him knowledge and showed him the way of understanding? See, nations are as a drop in the bucket and are reckoned as dust on the balance. See, he lifts up isles as fine dust, and Lebanon is not enough to burn, nor its beasts enough for an ascending offering. All nations before him are as non-entity, and they are reckoned by him as less than a speck and emptiness. And to whom would you liken El, that what and what likeness would you compare to him? The workman molds a graven image, and the goldsmith overspreads it with gold, and the silversmith casts silver chains. He who is poor for such an offering chooses a tree that does not rot. He seeks for himself a skilled craftsman to prepare a carved image and does not totter. Did you know, have you not heard, that it has been declared to you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in, who brings princes to naught, shall make the rulers of the earth as emptiness. Heartily have they been planted, heartily have they been sown, heartily have their stock taken root in the earth. When he shall blow on them, and they wither, and the whirlwind takes them away like stubble. And to whom then do you liken me, or to whom am I compared, says the set apart one. Lift your eyes on high and see who has created these. He is bringing out their host by number. He calls them all by name, by the greatness of ability and potent of power. A man is not lacking. What a beautiful thing of hope. I have time. Luke 3, 2 through 15. And the fifth, 3, 2 through 15. Hanan and Caiaphas, being high priests, the word of Elohim came to Yohanan, the son of Zechariah, in the wilderness, and he went into all the neighborhood of the Jordan, proclaiming an immersion of repentance for forgiveness of sin. And it has been written in the book of the words of Yahushua, the prophet, saying, a voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of Yahuah, make his path straight. Every valley shall be filled, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall become straight, and the rough become smooth ways, and all flesh shall see the deliverance of Elohim. Yea, praise Yah. He said therefore to the crowds that came out to be immersed by him, brood of adders, who warned you to flee from the wrath to come. Therefore, bear fruit worthy of repentance, and do not begin to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father. For I say to you that Elohim is able to rise up children of Abraham from these stones. And even now the axe is laid to the root of the trees. Therefore, every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. And the crowds asked him, saying, what then shall we do? And he answered them, saying, let him who has 2 undergarments share with him that has none, and let him who has food do likewise. And tax collectors also came to be immersed. And he said to them, teacher, what shall we do? And he said to them, collect no more than what is appointed for you. And the soldiers who asked him, saying, and what shall we do? And he said to them, do not intimidate anyone or accuse falsely, and be satisfied with your pay. But as people were in expectation, and all were reasoning in their hearts about Yohanan, whether he was the Messiah or not. Wow. Father Yah, thank you so much for your encouraging word today, as many of us are in the pressure cooker of life, and we know that we can trust you in all things, and we keep our eyes focused directly on you, and you will direct our path. You have given us great promises, and you are a promise keeper, and we can trust you. Father, send this out to whoever it is that you want to hear it. Bless them, bless their families, and bring them into a stronger covenant. Give them a passion for your word. And we just want to bless and glorify you, my King. Thank you for all you do in Yahushua's mighty name. Amen. Be blessed, and we'll see you next week. Let me know if you learned anything from this or how it spoke to you. I'd really love to hear from you that listen to this, because honestly, I don't even know if anybody's watching these. I mean, I see that people start them, but boy, I'd sure love to hear. I'd love to hear from you. So leave a comment. And I guess, do the YouTube algorithm thing. I don't really even care about the algorithms. I'm just being faithful to read the word like the Father told me on camera, to go out to whoever it is that he has for it to go out to. But Lord, I personally would love to hear from those of you that listen. If this is edifying, if you want me to read the commentary ahead of time, or not at all, or after, whatever, just let me know that you're listening. Thank you so much. Even just like it. They don't even have to leave a comment. Just a like to let me know that actually someone's listening. Never mind. I don't really even care. Honestly, I'm doing this for his glory and to be obedient. So I can do it without any kind of personal accolades. Actually, please forgive me for even asking, because that was my own personal wanting. I don't know. So forgive me. Be blessed, and we'll see you next week.